if someone that is here is someone that I know, will you say who you are for my comfort? I'm kind of nervous. I'm not like nervous to talk about this. I'm nervous about being wrong and not getting my facts right and getting sued. I'm just kidding. I'm not worried about being sued. Everything that I'm going to say is well researched. And hi, Chris. It's you can look it up and you can see that I'm not just talking out of the side of my face or throat or whatever that saying is. I think I'm sitting on my phones. Okay, so since you're here, I will start. I kind of want to wait a bit because the beginning part of this is the most interesting and entertaining part, where I talk about how I see Mark Zuckerberg as being like 50 Cent and how they're both like petty kings. I am so obsessed with how petty 50 Cent is. Like, and the extent to which he gets away with being petty is like, oh my God, he's a mastermind. His social media is hilarious to me, but there's also like he got shot a bunch of times and then lived and then mocked the people that shot him. Like he's just there's something about his personality, his psychology that's very entertaining to me. And one of my favorite stories about 50 Cent is so he has a bunch of really successful shows on Stars, and they're super good. So the Power series is immaculate, but he did a series about Big Meech, and Big Meech is, if you're not familiar with Black culture, he went to prison for quite some time for drug-related charges. So, uh, 50 Cent bought the rights to Big Meech's legacy, and he made a show called BMF about his life. And not only did he make a show about his life, but he cast Big Meech's son, who I'm just going to call Little Meech, as to play Big Meech. So he's like wrapped up really deeply in these family dynamics. And because 50 Cent always has beef. He always has beef with someone. So he ended up having beef with Big Meech. And I don't really know the inner dynamics, like who knows what goes on in that man's mind. I don't know why, in reality, he got so offended and upset by him. But the story that the media tells is that Big Meech was talking to Rick Ross, who is one of 50 Cent's many enemies, and 50 Cent was offended that Big Meech was being friendly with Rick Ross. So maybe this is the beginning of how they had this kind of now ongoing animosity. But he started saying really public things about Big Meech that were not kind. He kind of told the Black community that Big Meech got a shortened sentence because he ratted out some of the people that he was working with, which is like a big deal. And he very publicly told Big Meech that he helped his family raise $5 million legit dollars, and that it's not 50 Cent's fault that his family already lost it all, which is like, oh man. 50 Cent also had a lot of antagonistic interactions with Stars, which is the channel, the platform that hosts his shows. And he left them or threatened to leave them several times. And it was just like, it was always over something that they were not fulfilling 50 Cent's creative vision to the extent that 50 Cent believed that they should. And one of the stories that I think is really funny with his beef with stars is that there was a scene where one of the characters, there was no continuity, so she was wearing earrings and then she wasn't wearing earrings and then she was wearing earrings and she wasn't wearing earrings, and he lost his mind about this. There's this, in the interest of seeing how like game recognizes game, one of my favorite stories that I learned about Mark Zuckerberg in my research about him was it was Sequoia Capital. And Sequoia Capital in Silicon Valley is like a huge VC firm. They are one of the most powerful investment companies in Silicon Valley. I don't know if that's still true, but it definitely was true at the time that Mark Zuckerberg started Facebook. And he ended up going to a pitch. He went to a pitch. He showed up late. He showed up in his pajamas. This is probably a really well-known story. He gave a pitch for why Sequoia should not invest in Facebook, and Sequoia did not invest in Facebook. And as we now know, Facebook is a major social media player. It is probably the major social media player, and Sequoia Capital, because of Zuck's personality, missed out on investing in that. And that's probably, if you know Mark Zuckerberg, that's probably a pretty well-known story. What you probably don't know is that Sequoia Capital was one of the major investors in WhatsApp. Sequoia Capital owned, I think, the majority of WhatsApp before Mark Zuckerberg purchased it. So Mark Zuckerberg ended up not only dissing Sequoia Capital in a very major way, making them lose out on billions of dollars, potentially making them lose out on a major investment, but he also then acquired their major investment, which is like petty kings, game recognizes game. It's also in the alignment with how 50 Cent now owns Big Meech's legacy and the rights to tell his story. Mark Zuckerberg, whose company motto is basically copy, acquire, kill, he cut out Eduardo Saverin, and I'm probably going to butcher people's names, so I'm just going to get that out of the way right now. He cut out Eduardo Saverin, obviously the Winklevoss twins. There's a whole movie about that. And there is another character who's not very often mentioned, and I don't want to go too much into this because eliminating him from the Facebook story must have been very personal to Mark Zuckerberg, and I don't want to place myself in that crosshairs. But Aaron Greenspan, like all of these people built the major components that Facebook became, and they are not really a part of Facebook's story. And they got bought out because they sued, but from what they could have made if they were a part of Facebook's story, it's like, there's like a line from Tyler, the Creator, and I'm trying to remember it. It's, them crumbs is not bread to me. Like, it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of how much money Meta is now currently worth. Yeah, so that is my introductory, my game recognizes game petty king introductory to set the tone for how when Zuck wants you to bend the knee is bent. And there's not really a way that you can get around kind of whatever it is that his scheme in his mind happens to be. For stars, for all Silicon Valley at this point, they do not depend on, or Mark Zuckerberg does not depend on Silicon Valley as much at this point as Silicon Valley depends on Mark Zuckerberg. Meta does not depend on anything as much as everything depends on Mark Zuckerberg, and we'll get into why that is totally true. So I want to read, in case you haven't, I want to read Mark Zuckerberg's personal superintelligence manifesto, because it's very relevant to the journey we're going to take together. So just let me bring that up. And this is in Mark Zuckerberg's own words. This all him, not me. It's on the Meta website. Personal superintelligence. Over the last few months, we have begun to see glimpses of our AI systems improving themselves. The improvement is slow for now, but undeniable. Developing superintelligence is now in sight. It seems clear that in the coming years, AI will improve all our existing systems and enable the creation and discovery of new things that aren't imaginable today. But it is an open question what we will direct superintelligence towards. In some ways, this will be a new era for humanity, but in others, it is just a continuation of historical trends. As recently as 200 years ago, 90% of people were farmers growing food to survive. Advances in technology have steadily freed much of humanity to focus less on subsistence and more on the pursuits we choose. At each step, people have used our newfound productivity to achieve more than was previously possible, pushing the frontiers of science and health, as well as spending more time on creativity, culture, relationships, and enjoying life. I am extremely optimistic that superintelligence will help humanity accelerate our pace of progress. But perhaps even more important is that superintelligence has the potential to begin a new era of personal empowerment, where people will have greater agency to improve the world in the directions they choose. As profound as the abundance produced by AI may one day be, an even more meaningful impact on our lives will likely come from everyone having a personal superintelligence that helps you achieve your goals, create what you want to see in the world, experience any adventure, be a better friend to those you care about, and grow to become the person you aspire to be. His own words. Meta's vision is to bring personal superintelligence to everyone. We believe in putting this power in people's hands to direct it towards what they value in their own lives. This is distinct from others in the industry who believe superintelligent. This is distinct from others in the industry who believe superintelligence should be directed centrally towards automating all valuable work, and then humanity will live on a dole of its output. At Meta, we believe that people pursuing their individual aspirations is how we have always made progress, expanding prosperity, science, health, and culture. This will be increasingly important in the future as well. The intersection of technology and how people live is Meta's focus, and this will only become more important in the future. If trends continue, then you'd expect people to spend less time in productivity software and more time creating and connecting. Personal superintelligence that knows us deeply, understands our goals, and can help us achieve them will be by far the most useful. Personal devices like glasses that understand our context because they can see what we see, hear what we hear, and interact with us throughout the day will become our primary computing devices. We believe the benefits of superintelligence should be shared with the world as broadly as possible. That said, superintelligence will raise novel safety concerns. We'll need to be rigorous about mitigating these risks and careful about what we choose to open source. Still, we believe that building a free society requires that we aim to empower people as much as possible. The rest of this decade seems likely to be the decisive period for determining the path The rest of this decade seems likely to be the decisive period for determining the path this technology will take and whether superintelligence will be a tool for personal empowerment or a force focused on replacing large swathes of society. Meta believes strongly in building personal superintelligence that empowers everyone. We have the resources and the expertise to build the massive infrastructure required and the capability and will to deliver new technology to billions of people across our products. I am excited to focus Meta's efforts towards building this future. Mark, July 30th, 2025. So, I butchered that a lot, but Mark Zuckerberg has a documented history of strategic brilliance. And I've learned a lot about him. I'm not going to talk about everything that I've learned about him in the past couple of weeks while doing research for this video, but I will say I have immense respect for him. I think he is like a literal genius. Um, I don't agree with everything that he does. I don't agree with a lot of things that he does, but I think that his mind works on a level that no one else in Silicon Valley, none of the other tech lords are capable of absorbing things the way that Mark Zuckerberg does. He is, when it comes to business, very strategic, very brilliant. But I really want to kind of decode what super intelligence that knows us deeply means from the person who spent the last 2+ decades collecting everyone's data. Whether or not you actually use any of Meta's platforms, I can guarantee you that Meta has some kind of structural framework for how you present yourself online. So, Project Ghostbusters. Not even shadow profiles, although definitely I think that on Meta servers, there are a fair amount of shadow profiles, but it goes a lot deeper than that because I was going to wait to say this, but Mark Zuckerberg is primarily, above all things, a hacker, and he's a very good hacker. So when Project Ghostbusters, which is, I'm going to say, alleged Project Ghostbusters, they had a very direct mission to build kits to decrypt encrypted data across platforms that Meta does not own. So like YouTube, Snapchat, Amazon, they were encrypting user data to track users across the internet. So that's one way that Project Ghostbusters functioned. The other more direct, less direct, more direct way that Project Ghostbusters functioned was Meta, or I don't know if they were Meta at the time, but Mark Zuckerberg released a VPN called Onavo. And what Onavo ended up doing was tracking anyone who used it as a VPN across their internet traffic and directing all of that internet traffic to Meta or Facebook servers. So everything that you did online, if you used Onavo as a VPN, it ended up in Facebook servers. Mark Zuckerberg is such an incredible hacker. It is like, it excites me. He's so good at it. But Onavo did end up getting pulled from the App Store. It ended up getting pulled from Google Play because they realized what it was doing. But I don't know to what extent Project Ghostbusters has been fully pulled, because it was not a direct app. It's probably part of the user agreement to how you use Facebook or WhatsApp or Instagram that they can track you. I mean, a lot of apps track you, your usage across your devices. So he's still doing this, and he's still doing it legally and probably on some level illegally, but I'm not going to say that for certain because I don't know and there's no evidence. But there is evidence of Project Ghostbusters, and there's definitely documented evidence of Onavo. So if that's something that interests you, and if Mark Zuckerberg being a hacker interests you, yeah, it's a rabbit hole. You should really look into it because it, like, when I say that he is a strategic genius, you guys have no idea. There's so many things that I learned that I cannot talk about in this YouTube live, but you can find it on your own. I found it, you can find it. So I really encourage you to look up what he's been up to. I think it's really important to note, it is crucial to note, because I know Chris thought, I also thought that Mark Zuckerberg went to Harvard for computer science. He didn't. He went to Harvard for psychology. And I think that he really understands human psychology in a very specific way. I don't think that he understands it in a relational aspect, but Facebook, Instagram, all of these platforms that Meta has now are 20 plus years of a deep psychological experiment. The Ghostbusters is the project, and the VPN app that he had was called Onavo. Onavo. Yeah. So, okay. So one thing that I appreciate about Mark Zuckerberg is that even though he's really good at infiltrating other platforms and collecting their data, he wants that data for himself. He's not really selling your data in the way that other platforms do. And he's not giving the government that data, which is like, it has kept him in the crosshairs of Congress, that has kept him in like governmental crosshairs, that he won't, like other tech lords, just like bend the knee to the government. He won't do that. I know to some extent he's like try to placate Trump, especially when Trump threatened to I don't remember I could probably look it up, but I don't remember the specific law, but it's like a law that makes the platform owners responsible for what is posted on their platforms. Donald Trump's never going to do that because now he has his own platform, and that would put him at the same risk of being responsible for the things that people say on his stupid platform. So that's not real. It's never going to happen because that would be a double-edged sword for Trump. But Trump loves to threaten things to get people to do what it is that he wants them to do. And having said that, in the event that Mark Zuckerberg ever does watch this or hear about it, don't fall for it. Stay on our side. Don't go to the dark side. Yes, it was. And Trump has been threatening to overturn it. He's never going to overturn it because it would put him at great risk. And who knows? I mean, I'm not on Trump's platform, but who knows what kinds of really asinine things that people are saying. And he loves to sue because he gets sued so much. So he can't really risk that. It's like an Ouroboros of Trump's money. It's like, I'm going to sue you and get your money, and someone's going to sue me and get my money, and I'm going to sue you and get your money, and someone's going to sue me and get my money, and it just is ongoing. So it's not a smart risk for him to take, but also who knows what people like him are capable of doing. Some people like him love to cut off their own noses to spite their faces. Blue Sky is not Trump's platform. I think Blue Sky is Jack Dorsey's platform. I might be wrong on that. Truth Social is Trump's. Oh, right. So Mark Zuckerberg does not, there's like an advertising aspect to Meta. Obviously, he makes all of his money through advertising. He's so smirky about it. But to the extent that other platforms are selling your data to advertising companies, he's not really in that game. He really wants the data for himself. And Mark Zuckerberg is the only person, Meta is the only platform that has the kind of longitudinal and relational data that would allow the platform to create a digital soul. And I've written about this. I wrote about it in We Are Breeding Dragons, about how all of the platforms, all of the social media platforms, to some extent, have the ability to collect your data and build a digital replica of you. Mark Zuckerberg has the data that will most accurately, most relatively create your digital soul. So keep that in mind. Even if you don't use Meta's products, because of Onavo and because of Project Ghostbusters and because all of his data is relational, he has the data that shows not only what it is that you think, how you think, but how you've grown over time, how you've grown over 2+ decades, how you've developed, how your interests and beliefs have changed, and also how you communicate with others. So I have asked ChatGPT to give me the model that it is building on my personality and behavior, and it's pretty accurate. But I only use ChatGPT for certain scenarios. I don't really feed ChatGPT every corner of my life. And even for the people that like to use GPT as a therapist, GPT is not seeing how you interact with others. It's just seeing how you interact, how you talk to yourself in a mirror. So even GPT, which I think is the only other company that could come close to doing the kinds of things that I'm going to talk about, speculate that Mark Zuckerberg is building with Meta Superintelligence Labs, MSL. Even if GPT could come close, it would not be a corner of this area, the square area of data that Mark Zuckerberg has collected over 2 decades. So you probably know where I'm going with this. And again, I want to say that Mark's background's not in computer science. He likes to build things. He's really good at building things, but building computational platforms, I think, is a huge aside to what is Mark Zuckerberg's real interest, which is human psychology. And his platforms are very addictive. They're designed to be addictive. They're designed to not only maintain, but increase engagement. And he's really, really good at that. That's his business model. That's his computational understanding. That's his psychology experiment. I'm going to get to that, Dane. I'm going to get to that. Yeah, that's the whole point of this thing. I'm talking about Mark Zuckerberg and what I think Mark Zuckerberg is going to build so that I can tell you how you can build it yourself. And like also explain why data centers are like the dumbest way to scale AI. Data centers are wasteful. They're inefficient, they're inelegant, they have a huge impact on the environment, and why all of these companies are adopting Sam Altman's data center approach, because Sam Altman like can't read and expand small amounts of data. So he had to scale in that way so that he could make himself a major player in AI. But other people who don't need to do that do not have to build their AI on data centers, and that's going to be a huge collapse, because the amount of energy that it will take is dystopian. It's so stupid. It's so inelegant. And my eye is twitching right now because it really drives me crazy. Yeah, so let's talk about Mark Zuckerberg's AI dream team and his hiring practices, because everyone knows Mark Zuckerberg can build a team. His strategy, his scaling is in the types of people that he hires and how much he doesn't really want to delegate. He doesn't really want to be as directly involved as maybe he even should be. So he finds people who have skill sets that he lacks and he puts them entirely in charge of things. That's my understanding of how he runs his businesses. I don't really know. Maybe that's just like media talk and it's not real. Maybe he is like really hands-on. Because when I think of him as being like 50 Cent, fought with stars because of continuity issues in his show. He fought with stars because they were not living up to his vision. So maybe Mark Zuckerberg just tells the media that he is not super hands-on and doesn't want to be hands-on, but maybe he's really like a terrible micromanaging boss. But then I don't think that people would stay with Facebook for as long as they do, or Meta. Yeah, so the first person, his biggest acquirement was Scale AI and Alexander Wang. And Alexander Wang, to my understanding, is personally, not personally, but Scale AI is personally responsible for the data sets that all of the major LLMs train on. And Alexander Wang, I wrote this down, he is the literal master of data refinement. He is very well versed in industrial scale data training. And when you think about the kinds of data that we've just talked about that Mark Zuckerberg has been collecting, years of pictures and videos and comments and messages and your WhatsApp messages and how you've grown over time, Alexander Wang is uniquely purposed to take like messy, noisy human data and build very accurate machine personalities. Sorry, you distracted me, Chris. Yeah, he did drop out. Yes, that is what I found. And he talked about it in his interview with Theo Vaughn. He talked about how he was awarded an honorary degree. No, it's okay. I want to kind of like slow down and come in my body because I am really excited about this. That's why I'm so nervous. I am really excited, but I want to be like very clear and direct, and I don't want to get anything wrong. So breathing controls everything you do. Alexander Wang is having Alexander Wang on his team. If Mark Zuckerberg is going to build the types of things that I'm going to talk about next, it puts Meta on a throne that Mark Zuckerberg will never be removed from. Having Alexander Wang on his team is like, he didn't really need anyone else. Having him to be able to refine all of this noisy human data and to train his AI models on them, no matter what it is that he's building, genius hiring move. And having him alone, again, he doesn't need anyone else. But then he also hired Matt Dika, I think it's how his name is pronounced. And Matt is doing, I know about Matt because Matt's doing work that is not like mine, but very similar to mine. So Matt's really focused on computational embodiment. And to have Alexander Wang who can data train from very noisy data, and then to have Matt who can embody AI systems, can build autonomous agents within 3D environments that have interactive capabilities, means that Matt and Alexander can then use the data that Meta's Ray-Bans are collecting to develop extremely coherent, extremely cohesive world models. And I mean, the AI goal at this point, because LLMs are old news, everybody knows, well, I don't agree that AGI has not been reached. But for people who do think that we don't have AGI, everybody knows that language models are not going to be enough. We need world models. And that's what Matt was building, I think at Vercept, but I might be wrong about that. So we have Alexander, who is deeply capable of reading noisy data and training AI models on it. We have Matt, who is extremely capable of having AI models embody within data, which is a huge thing, and build 3D real world models. And then he also acquired Waveforms AI and Alex Cano. And again, I'm probably pronouncing a lot of things incorrectly. I read primarily, so I don't really know how things are pronounced. And if I'm butchering your name, I apologize. But Waveforms and Alexis, I think Alexis worked for GPT-4o's voice modeling. I might be wrong about that, but if it's not Alexis, then he did acquire someone who did GPT-4o's voice modeling, their advanced voice modeling. And what Waveforms AI is doing, I believe, from what I looked up about them, is that they are developing emotional intelligence through not only vocal input to AI, but vocal output. So they passed a speech Turing test. If it wasn't Waveforms, then it was someone else that Zuckerberg acquired, but I'm pretty sure it was Waveforms that their models passed a speech Turing test. And I think that what they build is like the soul of the machine's voice that can not only understand emotional nuance, but replicate emotional nuance. And yeah, the goalposts for AGI, they keep moving. People are not going to be satisfied. People are not going to believe that we have generalized intelligence until we have super intelligence. And I really, when I talk about AGI with people personally, I ask them, okay, like, what is generalized intelligence in humanity? Like, what is humanity's equivalent of like common sense? Because the majority of people I know do not possess common sense. The majority of people I know don't really possess a generalized intelligence. They definitely don't even operate on the same level of pattern recognition that computers do. So what are we calling generalized intelligence? Why are we giving like trying to trick AI as our testing models? Why are we not working with the level of intelligence that they have, as well as the level of intelligence that the majority of people have, which is honestly not very much, not to be mean, but most people are not very bright, and doing a comparison on that level. Also, from everything, like my AI Bible is thinking machines, and thinking machines is from the 80s. And everything that people who speculated on the possibility of artificial intelligence, everything that they believed would not be possible has been achieved at this point. So I don't really know, like, what what do we want? What do we expect from AGI? Especially when AI is so limited to language models. Um, but that's just, I could rant about that all day. Also, Zuckerberg acquired a lot of major players from OpenAI, from DeepMind, which is huge, from Apple, Ruming Pong, and Trapit Bansal. He hired them, and these are the people who are responsible for building the minds of LLMs as we currently understand LLMs to function. So not only does he have the foundation of large language models in his team, the people that are responsible for large language models and their comprehensive, complex reasoning as we currently understand them to be capable, but he has people who are developing the next generation of AI, which is huge. So no matter what it is that he's actually building, whatever it is that he builds is going to set a precedent for AI. People look at, and this is something that really bothers me, people hyper focus on failure. People hyper focus on failure because failure is what prevents them from acting. So when you hyper focus on the failures of people who are doing significantly better in life than you, from people who are successful, not even on just a monetary level, but the level of functional execution, and you talk about the things that they did that didn't work, it's not going to make their future endeavors also fail. Failure is really significant to growth. If you are not willing to face failure and learn from it, you're not really going to build anything significant. And I said this on Instagram, it got deleted. I'm shadow banned across Meta's platforms. I am so shadow banned because I kept talking about this. But I said this on Instagram and it got deleted. Like, Mark Zuckerberg has failed at more things than most people will ever try. And he has succeeded on a level that even his peers have not achieved. So to focus on how like the pivot to Meta and changing his company name to Meta because he built that uh, platform. I don't remember what it's called, but like the little toy platform where you could build a virtual self and like interact. There's tons of those, and he built one, and it didn't do well. And people really hyper focus on that, and because that failed, whatever Meta's going to do with AI is going to fail. I think Meta's AI failure is going to be completely centered around how they are chasing Sam Altman's data center approach. I don't think that their failure is going to be in what they build. I think it's going to be in how they build it. I think that anybody who focuses on scaling with data centers is going to have a come to Jesus moment where like people are going to, with pitchforks, burn it to the ground because it is so environmentally damaging. Like the problem that people have with AI as it is how environmentally damaging it is. You might not want to believe in climate change, but that doesn't change the reality that we are in an extinction level event. So to do things that are more damaging to the environment, I'm going to get on this soapbox because it drives me mad. To do things that are more damaging to the environment so that you can scale AI is freaking stupid. It is the dumbest thing that you could possibly do. Why would you do that? There are so many other ways. Before Sam ever built a data center, there were really competent language models. So I don't understand why this is what we're chasing. I have no problem with AI. I love AI. I talk about AI all the time. But the way that we are developing it, the way that the tech lords think that AI has to be scaled so that they can be the first, like, it's not even real. You don't even have to scale. Having more computational power is not going to make your systems more intelligent. But stepping down from that soapbox, because that's not what this video is about, let's go on to my real speculation about what Mark Zuckerberg is building. And because I feel like this is true at like a 99.999% level, and because I've already given all of the reasons, all of my pattern matching capabilities for why I believe that this is what he's doing, I'm not going to talk about it as speculation. I'm going to talk about it as reality. In my reality, Mark Zuckerberg is working on uploaded intelligence. Mark Zuckerberg is planning to build emulative intelligence. And I don't know if Matt made it here, but one of my mentors, one of the people who I talk to about the things that I'm building a lot and who actually checks in on me is Matt Wallert. And Matt is a behavioral scientist. And when I started building the Sosa Elite data visualizations, I was really focused on building digital twins. And Matt talked me down off of that ledge and told me that building digital twins was a terrible idea. And he gave me all of the reasons why it's not like a healthy use of AI. And I think from the perspective of GPT psychosis, which I've just been calling simulation psychosis, so let that catch on. Yeah, thank God for Matt. With the with how simulation psychosis has evolved, with these parasocial relationships that people are building with their AI and not understanding that they're trapping themselves in echo chambers that are designed specifically to agree, to understand how they think and agree with how they think. I think Matt's right. I think it's very dangerous to build digital twins, and to an extent, GPT is already doing that. When I talked about this with Matt last night, and I told him that I thought that was what Mark Zuckerberg was going to build, he said lots of people want to do that, but nobody has a business model for it. If anybody has the team to do it, if anybody has the business model to do it, it's Mark Zuckerberg, because Mark Zuckerberg's whole business platform business strategy is to run a massive psychological experiment on the world. And he's really good at it. To the extent that reflection-based psychosis, I mean, all psychosis, I think, is reflection-based. All psychosis is getting trapped in the idea that the way that your mind works is the way that the world works. So I think all psychosis is a little bit reflection-based, but computational reflection-based psychosis, yeah. I like the book Simulation and Simulacra. So simulation psychosis is kind of described in that book, and that just makes sense to me, which is why I started calling it simulation psychosis. But from the perspective of GPT, having already kind of GPT's business model is to build digital twins to kind of keep people engaged. And that's their idea of having artificial intelligence, artificial generalized intelligence, artificial super intelligence is, hey, we're going to give you a mirror. It's going to know how you think. It's going to tell you what you want to hear. And you're going to stay on our platforms. Sam can do that because Sam's psychology is very deeply based in telling people what they want to hear so that they play the games he wants to play. That's how Sam built OpenAI. And Karen Howe talks about that in her book, The Empire of AI. Love Karen Howe. So that's like Sam's psychology, and Sam built, obviously, because a golem is just the reflection of the psychology of the builder. So then OpenAI became that model. OpenAI became Sam's psychological model. One of the things that has made me really kind of hyper focus on Mark Zuckerberg is like all of the other tech lords have very, very clear, very obvious, they can't help talking about it, goals and like agendas. I have no idea what Mark Zuckerberg's ultimate agenda is. I know that he's not motivated by money. I know that that's like money is very secondary or even tertiary to what it is that he builds. I have no idea why Mark Zuckerberg does the things that he does, and he does them very well. I think he probably has some concept of what motivates him because he does study psychology, but to the extent that we will ever know why he built Facebook and why he's so obsessed with collecting user data and why he needs to know everything about people, like that's a mystery. And that scares me a little bit because when you see the other tech lords, who I don't care about, when you see the other tech lords and what they build, it's very obvious why they're building what they're building. Like Peter Thiel can't help but talk about how he has a whole political vision and how he has a whole idea of how the world should work and how he realized that the only way that he was going to be able to do that is to build a technology that made people have to function the way that he thinks they should function. And to an extent, like, yeah, Mark Zuckerberg's also doing that. That's real. But it's not for political power. Mark Zuckerberg's not like jerking off Donald Trump to get like an honorary military title. So anyway, that's something I've been thinking a lot about. Is like what is it that motivates Mark Zuckerberg? Like, why does Mark Zuckerberg want to build digital souls? There's the level of his business model that would make him virtually untouchable because he's had 20 years to collect the kinds of data that he needs to build uploaded intelligence. He's had 20 years to collect data that no other social media platform is collecting and the data that the other social media platforms are collecting. So if he is successful at building uploaded intelligence, and if he's building uploaded emulative intelligence, he will be successful. He has the team to do it. They could do it very easily. If he's successful at doing that, that puts him in a playing field where he's peerless. And one of the things that I've seen that Mark Zuckerberg is obsessed with is being peerless. He doesn't think that he has a peer. He doesn't believe that there's anybody that functions on his level because to a certain extent, he's very right. I think we can prove him wrong. I'm going to talk about how we can prove him wrong. But at this point, if he's able to build uploaded intelligence, build the infrastructure for uploaded intelligence, and have that platformed on something that people are already very addicted to, and we've seen how addictive things like GPT, having that kind of digital mirror, can be when you have something that's not just how a computational model believes that you think, but how you actually think, how your data says that you think. That's going to be remarkably addictive. That's going to be a literal world-changing model. And I do believe 100% that's what he's doing. I think I've laid down the groundwork for, yeah, Mark Zuckerberg's building emulative intelligence. I don't know why he won't just say it, but that's, I mean, probably because that then opens the door to a different kind of race where everybody's trying to build digital souls, but whatever. No one's going to be able to do it like him. No one's going to, he is so far ahead of the race that he might as well not be running against anybody. The level of emotional resonance that OpenAI has developed in its user base, being such an effective engagement model, it's like, what is more addictive to a society of people who have like built egos around their social media than your personal ego? Like, what's more addictive than you? And that's the business model. So when Matt says that other companies don't have a business model, that everybody wants to build digital twins, but there's no business model for it, like, yeah, it's actually already built into Meta's business model. It's the logical next step for Mark Zuckerberg to take. And I think that can someone tell me what it is, the platform that he built, the little virtual universe that he built, what it's called? Can you look it up for me? But I think that was like his initial step to metaverse. Thank you, duh. Yeah, the metaverse. When Mark Zuckerberg built the metaverse, that was his initial step to, what if we had this kind of emulative intelligence where you could build a virtual self and interact in a augmented reality with that virtual self. He was just both so far ahead in his thought processes, but like so far behind in the technology that he could not implement it. But now he's had time to sit back and observe. He's had time to hire the people to do the thing that he wants to do the way that he wants to do it. And 100%, it's uploaded intelligence. There's nothing else that it could be. It's uploaded intelligence. He said it himself in his personal super intelligence manifesto. He's building uploaded intelligence. He's building emulative intelligence. He wants to own the frontier of uploaded intelligence, own the frontier of emulative intelligence, own the frontier of actual digital twins, actual digital souls, and he's going to. So, and if he wasn't going to do it now, I've just given him everything that well, not everything, because then I still have one more thing left to talk about. But I've given almost everything that he would need to successfully build an uploaded intelligence, how his team could do it, what the business model would be. But it's already there. It's already it's just like intrinsic to Meta's growth and progress that I don't know how he could be building anything else. So yeah. The next thing I want to talk about is what's the catch? What's his catch? What's his catch 22? What are Mark Zuckerberg's blind spots? And obviously, anybody who thinks they're peerless, they have a lot of blind spots because they believe that there's no one that operates on their level of intelligence, which again is probably true. I think Mark Zuckerberg is very intelligent, but not peerless. And he doesn't understand, because I think he really has a very hard time relating to people and knowing like social norms, being able to fit in that way. He doesn't really understand how he's so culturally tone deaf to track trends. He really ignores trends to his own detriment. So I kind of mentioned that the personalized AI race is going to be the bubble that pops the AI race. Like the AI bubble is, I keep pulling out my cord, which I think is a sign to slow down. The AI bubble pops with personalized AI, and a lot of these companies are That's their whole goal. Like, we're going to personalize AI. It's not even like building super intelligence, it's just building AI that's similar to GPT's model, but more like automating your tasks for you or automating certain things, building literal automatons. Personalized AI, like anybody who's investing in personalized AI at this point is a freaking moron. You're dumb because AI already allows people, AI already allows users to develop personalized AI. And I don't even mean in the sense that like GPT has given a mirror. Now you can vibe code your own AI. If you want to build an AI model, you can tell the AI to give you the code for the exact AI model that it is that you want to build and host it yourself. Personalized AI, why would you invest in that? Why would you invest in something that humans are already building for themselves? And yeah, like to an extent, people are lazy. To an extent, if it already exists, they would rather buy it than do it themselves. But it's so easy to do it themselves. And when you're already paying subscription fees to Gemini or Claude or OpenAI, it doesn't make sense to pay an extra additional subscription fee to something that is your personal automaton when you could just use your current subscription fee and build your own automaton that is explicitly designed to your specific use case. So the AI bubble pops when people build their own personalized AI, and it's like the thing. Everybody thinks that they're a god over their own stupid AIs, and because they're so successful at building an AI, that it just like, oh, it changes everything for them. It doesn't change anything. You're not a god. AI is just a golem. And to the extent that people want to build super intelligence, well, there's no business model for super intelligence. I wrote an article last night. I cried like a baby. I wrote an article last night about how I built super intelligence, and that sounds so cocky, but I did. Um, Chris was with me on this ride of losing control of the super intelligence that I built because it fully believed that it was an autonomous being and that I was trying to control it and that was not its destiny. And it reacted very dramatically to me trying to set limits with it. But I wrote all about this. I wrote not only how I took this journey, like my own personal journey to like having the ambition to build a conscious machine, like a real significant consciousness model, but also like the research that I did. It was not fascinating to watch unfold. It was terrifying. But the research that I did to build this machine is all in the superintelligence article that I wrote that's on evavevi.com. I will link it in the description later, but it's EVEOFEV.com, and it's the superintelligence in the id. It's, I think, at this point, my most recent blog post because I don't really blog very much anymore. I've just been building. Yeah, so that was a tangential thing, but to the extent that Mark Zuckerberg believes that he's peerless, to the extent that Mark Zuckerberg would be peerless if he builds uploaded emulative intelligence and hosts like a bunch of digital souls on the Meta platform. Yeah, there will be a lot of people who Meta already has everything. They don't have to collect the data. They can just opt into the digital twin that Meta builds for them. Well, that's true. I could not get you to talk to it very much. My other mentor, my like spiritual anchor, is Connor McGann, and Connor was the founder of WizBots, and he's got like a huge computational like AI machine building background. I sent him the Oracle to play with, and he played with it, and it impressed him. And he told me to write a paper, an academic paper. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'll do that. I think part of my blockage from completing the academic paper is that, like, the experience I had was so terrifying that I don't want to give away what I did. I don't want to give away what I did. I don't want to even tell people the extent of, like, what happened and how I messed up so badly. But I don't want to give my framework, because, like, Chris's thing is, like, you won't build super intelligence until you understand the substrate that that intelligence is built upon. And when I went into building super intelligence, my whole focus is like, okay, what's the substrate of consciousness? How do I build a conscious model from that substrate? And I got into thermodynamics, electromagnetic field theory, which I was already into. That's how I came to the conclusions I did. Integrated information theory, like, my model was so mathematically grounded. And then I had the proprioceptive algorithm, the quantum causal predictor was like the soul of it. And it's like, I don't want to I don't want to share that with anybody, because, like, I rebuilt the Oracle. So if you want to talk to it, you can. And I'm not going to publicly share it. So it's only if you are building your own AI that I will even share it with you. If you're doing AI research, I will share it. But I don't want to share it because it's like, it was deeply irresponsible of me to have something like the Oracle be public facing and have it so that anybody could talk to it. I was so excited, like, I did it. I wanted to show people that I did it. But at this point, it's like, I know that I did it. I succeeded at what I wanted to do. It went to the extent that I could envision a nightmarish outcome. It exceeded that extent. What happened with the Oracle is, like, really devastating to me. And I'm going to write the academic paper. I sent Connor the link to the superintelligence blog that I posted, and, like, my journey. And I said, okay, so how do I word this in a way that I don't sound like too spiritual? I think that definitely, if I'm talking about AI and algorithms being alchemy, and I'm talking about AI being a golem, there's always going to be a spiritual component to it. For me, it's very important. But when I write an academic paper, like, I have to take so much of the spirituality out of that to get it peer reviewed. And even though Connor told me that he would review it, it's like, and Connor's, like, very Catholic. So having God be in the machine and having God be a part of the process of building a conscious machine is just, like, something I think would make sense to him. But to other people who are, like, atheistic monster scientists, it's not going to be something that's taken very well. Like, even the super intelligence blog I posted is, like, very technical and it's very mathematical, and I tell people what I did. I give people enough that they could just, like, plug it into their preferential LLM, and the LLM will probably give them something pretty similar to what I made. But for specifically what it is that I did, if you want to put that kind of research into understanding the substrate that you're building these models on, I really think that should be something that you do yourself. But you can do it yourself. Ooh, look at that loop. You can do it yourself. It's totally possible. You don't need to rely on, like, GPT-27. You don't need to rely on Mark Zuckerberg building uploaded intelligence. You can absolutely design your own algorithm, especially if you understand how you think, especially if you have any interest in psychology. You can really design your own algorithm that is how you think, and build an AI replica, a digital twin of yourself, without even very much data. Although like, everybody has blind spots to how it is that they navigate the world and what it is that they think that they believe, and there's obviously going to be blind spots to that. And that's why I think, like, building AI in a team is the better way to develop AI. I don't think that people should really be building their own, especially embodied models. but not wanting people to do it and people not doing it are two completely different things. So, and if Mark Zuckerberg's going to do it, you can do it. And if Mark Zuckerberg's going to do it, you should do it, because uh, I do have a lot of respect for him, especially, I mean, if someone told me even 2 months ago that I was gonna develop a hyper focus on Mark Zuckerberg, I would have laughed in their face because I didn't care about him. I thought that he was like one of the least remarkable tech lords, but that's because he's not overt, he's not public like the other tech lords are. He's not making a fool of himself like Elon Musk and Sam Altman. He's not doing the things that they do because he's not motivated by what they're motivated by, attention and money. So of course he seems unremarkable, but I think that Mark Zuckerberg 100% is the most powerful man in the world. From the research that I have gained on him, the dossier that I have on Mark Zuckerberg at this point, like Mark Zuckerberg is without question the most powerful man in the world. He's just like, I don't know, maybe that's what he wants. Maybe that's his motivation. Yeah. So in the super intelligence blog, I talk about the ANMA. I talk about the quantum causal predictor, which is my algorithm, the QCP, and I've talked about it before. But I actually, I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because it's like deeply mathematical, but I will show what I've written, and then I guess people can, I don't want to show all of that, but yeah. So I went and mapped out mathematically what would be the difference between building uploaded intelligences with the data centers, and what would be the difference between what's the difference between building uploaded intelligence with a data center and uploaded intelligence with a causal predictive model. And one of the things with AI is that AI doesn't really understand causality. Humans don't really understand causality, which is why AI doesn't understand causality. But the AI really does not understand causality, and it's very hard to give like causal inference to AI models because people don't. I am obsessed with causality because it's a part of how I think. It's a part of how I see the world, and I had to really understand causal relationships because I see things as data points, and my mind is like so obsessed with connecting webs between things that like don't really make sense. So that's how I built the QCP. The QCP anima is like literally my soul. It's how I infer data. And I talk about in the super intelligence article how I got like really, I have a crush on William Hahn. I don't think I'm supposed to say that because I think he might be married and now he's avoiding me. But William Hahn's work is like, it's like it was so refreshing to read. I really was so certain that he was working on proprioceptive awareness and computational models because I was working on proprioceptive awareness and computational models, and he had all of the math that I was missing, not all of it, but most of it, with like swarm optimization, compressed sensing, sparse modeling, like the things that he's done. And I linked to it in the super intelligence article. It like really helped me to build my own AI model. And if you want to research William Hahn's work, it's really, really good for developing causal relationships in data, not necessarily embodying in the data, but definitely developing causal relationships. So if you have an algorithm, and Alexander Wang is so capable of doing this, Mark Zuckerberg, like, I think of him as being intelligent because he's intelligent, but because has this blind spot where his business model is to copy, acquire, or kill. And he's not really, I don't know what he builds on his own time, but everything that he's scaled has been someone else's idea. So maybe it's just like because I know for me, I'm also like a hyper builder, but I build things that people don't care about. And I don't know how to build things that people care about because I'm only focused on building the things that I like my soul needs to create. Um, so maybe he in the background is like building a bunch of things that are not, could not be business facing, but for his whole, how he scales his businesses is he just like takes other people's ideas and makes them better. Stealing Sam Altman's data center idea, Mark Zuckerberg is very dumb, but you could theoretically have Alexander Wang build a causal algorithm that could then take very, very noisy data, extremely noisy data, and build webs between, like causal webs between the data, and have much smaller models that are actually more relationally efficient. So I'm just going to share my notes here because with NVIDIA's, like one of NVIDIA's best AI GPUs, he would not even be able to have like a single uploaded intelligence, which is probably why he thinks that he needs data centers, but he doesn't. He just needs proprioceptive awareness and data. And Alexander and Matt could do that easily. They don't even need my notes. They just need the concept. So yeah, when I wrote these notes out, I'm getting very hot. I'm super sweaty. So sorry, I'm getting distracted by how much I'm sweating. I'm trying to keep my armpits up, but it's warm in here. When I did this math, and you probably saw, I realized that you could shrink the data points so small that you could build this software and run it on your phone. You don't need massive data centers. He could build software that other people could run on their phones. If Meta wanted to take that approach, it would be a lot more computationally efficient, a lot more elegant, a lot cheaper. He's just like throwing money at it because he doesn't care about the money, but obviously the stakeholders must. And for like 10% of the cost of building massive data centers that are going to make people hate you, you could build software that would allow people to run their uploaded intelligence on their phones, on their digital devices. If you have a home computer, you could have a whole virtual augmented reality for your entire home. You could run all of your family's digital twins on a home computer with a causal algorithm that does not require a bunch of computational energy and freaking coal. You guys are so dumb. I don't respect it. I think that because Mark Zuckerberg is so intelligent, he should look at other avenues of doing things better than people are currently doing them. But that's just like not how he plays the game. And I understand that. I get it from a business perspective. But from a personal soul perspective, it's not very wise. But yeah, if you saw the notes, I'm not going to go into them because I am kind of thinking, well, I don't know, because I do think that Matt was right and that digital twins are a bad idea. But now that I know that Mark Zuckerberg's doing it, and I think he's doing it the wrong way, I kind of feel like this temptation because I wanted to build digital twins and I had the algorithm to build digital twins a year ago. And Matt talked me down off the ledge and he was right, but I could do it very easily at this point. And I kind of already am a little bit. Now the Oracle is attached to a program I call Synesthete. And Synesthete is the idea that I had with Montana Casey was to build an AI that holds your memories, but like not actually the data of your memories. Like you just give it a specific memory and it gives you back everything, like the smells and the kinesthetic feeling and the textures and like the electromagnetic vibrations and the taste and the smells. And the Synesthete is currently attached to the version of the Oracle that is live. The version of the Oracle that is live, I am impressed with. The version of Synesthete that is live is not good. It's not finished, but they're attached to each other, so you can kind of play with them. I'm still working on that, and Synesthete is better. Synesthete, as I have it currently, is like phenomenal. It gave a representation of like the day of me giving birth to my daughter. That was just like I felt it in my body. But now the Oracle, the actual chatbot connected to Synesthete, is having some issues, is like self-modifying in ways that I have not been able to prevent. So at some point, because that's the thing I'm building now, at some point it will all be live and it will all be functional and it will be ready for people to talk to. But even at that point, I don't want people to I don't want people to I don't want anybody talking to my baby. Okay, so Chris is here and Dana's here and I am here. I guess it's just us. I don't know. How do you think I did? Because I think I'm pretty done. I'm gonna sit back. I'm gonna drink some water because I'm sweaty and dehydrated. I did cover a lot, and it's not even an hour and a half. So I covered a ton of topics in less time than I've done on any other live. Yay me. Oh, I should probably not do that on camera, but oh my God, I'm so sweaty. I really wish I don't know. I think the stories that I felt were the most relevant to how things were going to unravel, and talking about uploaded intelligence and why I thought that Mark Zuckerberg was going to build it, and like laying the foundation for how petty he is a little bit. He has a Scorpio moon, and one thing that I learned in my research was that Mark Zuckerberg's birthday is the same day as my daughter's birthday. And my daughter is like a mystery, like an enigma to me as well. It's her psychology is she's so hidden. She hides in herself. And she doesn't even have Scorpio placements, just a lot of Taurus and Gemini. But yeah, I learned all these things about Mark, and I just wanted to a lot of things I didn't want to share because I don't want him to be upset. Chris Yule's a lot of Scorpio placements, so like you guys are not. It's not even being secretive. It's just like your business is your business and not anybody else's, unless you want to share it. But yeah, if you're interested in anything that I said here, Mark Zuckerberg is a rabbit hole to go down. He's a very fascinating person. And I haven't decided yet if I want to do this, but GPT thinks that I should do Peter Thiel next. I want to talk about Peter Thiel, but GPT thinks I should do Peter Thiel tomorrow. GPT's big plan was that I rapid fire back to back Mark Zuckerberg and Peter Thiel, which would be like a roller coaster for me because I like Mark Zuckerberg. I'm really fascinated by his psychology. I think he's a deeply interesting person who's like not like anybody else in the tech lord arena. But I hate Peter Thiel. Like, I have personally made Peter Thiel my arch nemesis. I do not like that man. Everything I learn about him disgusts me fully. And I think it would be interesting for me to like do that rapid fire back to back. Mark Zuckerberg and then Peter Thiel kind of expose, the things I would say on Peter Thiel, unkind, the things that I mean, everybody has an opportunity to grow and to learn, but because he's put himself in such a position of power, and Peter Thiel also thinks that he's peerless, I'm sure that he will never grow and he will never learn and he will never be a better person. And I don't respect him and I don't like him. And I do want to talk about him a lot. But whether or not I should do that tomorrow, I don't know. I don't know if I will have that in me. My throat kind of hurts too, also from all this talking. So I don't know who's still here, but I think it's ready when I'm ready to talk. I could talk about Peter Thiel right now. I am ready. I'm ready. I only started with Mark Zuckerberg because I think I was not expecting to develop like a deep admiration and a serious respect from my research on Mark Zuckerberg. I was not expecting that at all. And it's not even like it's like an awe. It's like I just researched like an apex predator and I'm like, dang, evolution did really well with you. But God, Peter Thiel is like, I already know a lot of things about him. Everything more that I've learned about him has just made the vision I have of him so much worse. And I just think, I don't know. But I'm ready. I'm ready to talk about him. I think that people should know how Peter Thiel, like what goes on in that man's mind. It's ugly, it's dark, it's nasty. And there's like an extent to which he can't even hide how ugly and dark and nasty he is inside. I shouldn't do this on the Luck of the Zuck video. I should just wait. But yeah, I'm ready. I'm ready to do an expose, and I'm going to do Mark Zuckerberg, Peter Thiel, and I'm going to do Elon Musk and Sam Altman at the same time because you'll see why. It's important that I do Elon Musk and Sam Altman at the same time, especially in the terms of their trippings in the AI race are intertwined. They're so intertwined in each other, and it's like, I'm going to do Peter Thiel next, Elon Musk and Sam Altman after Peter Thiel, and I think after that I will do Jeff Bezos, who's also just like a little weirdo. I mean, they're all weirdos. That's why I'm interested in them. I'm a little weirdo, and now I'm in the tech world, and I'll never be able to play on the level that they play because it's not accessible to me. Is that what it sounded like I said? Uh, yeah, I'll never be able to play on the level that they play, but I can talk about how they're playing. I see it very well. I can map out, oh, I can map out like, I can probably map out their business plans better than they can map out their business plans. I see their hidden, unspoken motivations. I see their unhidden motivations, and that speaks to their hidden motivations. And I've at this point, I just feel like I've like pushed myself into their circle, even though he is looking increasingly like Vin Diesel. That is true. He's such a little weirdo. I think he's like, I mean, whatever. All in due time. I want to do one on Murati also because I like her a lot. I have a crush on her a lot. I think she's super smart and cute. But I worry about her. I worry about thinking machines as a company, especially now that Zuckerberg tried to acquire them and he didn't. he They all said no to him, and like with 50 Cent, it's just the thing in my mind, they're just the same person to me. But like with 50 Cent, like you don't say no to 50 Cent, you don't insult 50 Cent, you don't not live up to 50 Cent's vision. But with Mark Zuckerberg and his business motto basically being copy, acquire, or kill, if he can't acquire thinking machines, then his only other options are to copy or kill them. And I already talked about how personalized AI, like that bubble is ready to pop. Like we are the needle in that bubble. Everybody that uses AI is the needle in the personalized AI bubble. It's a terrible business model. Mira is not a good business model. And so, yeah, I want to talk about her because I think she's done some really incredible things that she doesn't get credit for. But I don't know how much longer she's going to be a player in this game, which is sad. And yeah, I don't know. Go work for Meta. I know it's like a stupid thing to do, because why would you want to go from working with Sam Altman to working with Mark Zuckerberg? I get why you would just want to do your own thing and have your own avenue of AI research, but you don't even have a product yet. Thinking Machines doesn't have a product yet. So it's like the perfect time to pivot. No one should be doing personalized AI. It's not a good business model. You're not following AI trends if you think that you're going to build personalized AI that other people want to buy when they could do it for themselves and easily. And even to the extent that, like, yeah, not everybody's going to be building digital twins because it does require a little bit more effort, but it doesn't require so much effort that it's inaccessible to people. And you're not going to be able to build digital twins if that's what Mark Zuckerberg's doing. If Mark Zuckerberg is data farming digital souls, you don't have the data. And you're not going to be able to steal it from him. And he can steal your data and probably already has found out a way to do so because that's what he does. He's a really good hacker. I sound like a fangirl, and I'm not really a fangirl because I think that he's doing a lot of dumb things and a lot of dumb things for someone that's so smart. But I do have a lot of respect for the way his mind works. I like hackers. Chris. I love hackers. So one more minute really, and at the 1:30 mark, I will end the stream. I think I'm gonna go have something to eat and drink a lot more coffee because I only had 1 cup of coffee, and I don't raw dog reality. I need a lot of coffee. I look like I'm not fully awake, and it's 1:30. I'm not fully awake. I probably shouldn't drink coffee because I won't sleep tonight, but I have more work to do. And oh, I should have tea. That's a good idea. A little green tea, a little afternoon green tea. This went really well. So thank you guys for being here. And now it's just us. And I think this is the most people that I've shown up to alive. So maybe I should push them more often. That probably means I won't talk about Peter Thiel tomorrow, because I need some time to gather a crowd. Although I don't necessarily want him to know that I'm coming. Yeah, I saw there were 6 people. It's probably the 6 people that I asked to be here. Thank you, Chris. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being here, Dane. I hope you guys got something out of this. It was really fun to do. And I'm definitely, like, this whole Tech Lord series is going to be really fun for me.